Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode... what are we on? Episode 12. Episode 12. It's called The Deadly Years. This is the problem when we skip a week, is I've lost track of the numbers. I don't know what episode we're on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is The Deadly Years. So full spoilers for the episode as always. And apologies, we missed a week last week, just busy schedule. It's actually kind of funny because this and Leftovers we had to take a week off. Leftovers had to take a couple of weeks off. So we've not actually recorded and already cancelled in a couple of weeks. So this is
Yeah. Bloody Netflix.
a return. Yeah, it's Netflix's fault mostly. Partly on us for poor scheduling, but mostly Netflix's fault.
Yeah. Oh, we're not to blame.
No, never. Of course not.
Totally.
So, what's funny about this one is the opening, the cold open before the title sequence. We have Chekhov discover this dead body, and then these two characters come in who called them down to the planet in a distress call, and they're really old, like in their 70s, 80s, and they claim to be in their 20s, and it's like dun dun dun, and it goes to the opening titles, and my first thought was, this is either going to be really fun or going to be terrible. And there's nothing in the middle. There's nothing in between that this could be. It's either going to be laughably bad, or it's going to be a good sort of fun time, having fun, because we're going to have old versions of Kirk and Spock and McCoy and so on. So that's the premise, is that they all get this disease that makes them rapidly age, and that's the idea. So I'll ask the question, Connor, did you enjoy The Deadly Years?
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda, oh. Glowing praise. Glowing.
I wouldn't say I loved it, but I like parts of it.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I think there's some elements of it that are goofy, but it actually had some. It played it in a way that I was not expecting, and I think
Yeah.
because of that, I was expecting comedy, and instead I got like an actual kind of serious take on the idea. And what I mean by that is, so the main crux of the episode, the main sort of dilemma that comes up, is that Kirk, because he's aging both mentally and physically, he starts to basically be unfit to command. He starts to forget that he's given orders. He starts to just forget like codes and like sectors and just information that he should have. He's getting confused and old and delirious. And I would expect that to be played for comedy, but instead they play it in this really sort of realistic, awkward way where everyone feels uncomfortable that he's making a fool of himself.
Yeah, you feel that embarrassment that you sometimes feel around old people and children. Where they'll do something that they don't realize is weird or wrong because either if they're a child they just don't comprehend, or if it's an old person they might have just forgotten, like he's here. It's that kind of social embarrassment that you kind of feel for them, even though they don't feel it.
Yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of awkward looks. You've got Uhura looking over at Spock. Because Spock has got the disease, but Spock, because he's Vulcan, it's acting much slower because they live much longer. So he's not really feeling the effects of it to the same extent. It's not until the very
Despite his claims.
yeah, it's not until the very end of the episode where he starts to actually visibly look older. Which is one of the main complaints I would give, actually, is that the old age makeup is very ropey, especially on certain characters.
It's hit and miss. I think Kirk's is mostly all right.
Kirk's is okay. Scotty's is absolutely appalling.
Yeah, yeah. Scotty's is bad.
It didn't look like grey hair, it looked like crystal hair. It was weird, it was like frosted.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's kind of hit and miss. Some of them are all right. Some of them are awful.
Yeah, so that's the kind of the crux of the episode, and you have this Commodore on board who wants to go to this star base. He's going to Starbase 10. He wants to get there. He's anxious, but Kirk is like, no, because we've got this disease, we don't know what it is. We're going to stay here. We're going to figure it out without endangering anyone else. One of the weird things as well, everyone who went down is suffering from it except Chekhov. Chekhov, for some reason, is immune, and they don't know why, and they sort of explore that, and that kind of leads to how they end up figuring out how to combat it. And it's as simple as adrenaline. Which they tie into some actual radiation, like medication techniques from the past.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately how to do it. But that's why he's unaffected, because he gets scared so shitless when he finds a dead body that saves him from being
He's just
infected.
a bit of a pussy, isn't he? Oh, there's a dead body. Never seen one of those before.
You're in Starfleet, man. Surely you're in your battles and combat and whatnot.
I know. Cracks me up.
But yeah, so that's the main thing. And I like that core debate. I like the because and I think it gets really entertaining later on when they're so old and decrepit. Like McCoy and Kirk can barely
I
stand
love
anymore.
how McCoy goes southern, like
He
really
does
southern.
actually. Yeah, I love it because that's one of my favorite lines from him actually during he's doing tests on Chekhov to try and find out why he's not affected, and he's like, "All right, Chekhov, this won't hurt a bit. That's what you said last time. Did it hurt? Yes." That just made me laugh.
Yeah. Chekhov was cracking me up there. There was that one point where it was like, "Oh yeah, take your shirt off, more tests, do this, do that." I mean, just really annoyed. He's getting prodded and poked for all this stuff.
It was cracking me up though. But no, it gets really entertaining because when we get to this point, uh, the Commodore's taking command of the ship because all the high crew members are all unfit to and he's like, well, I don't want to give command to someone who's like really inexperienced, even though he has no experience in a starship. He's still high ranking compared to the next one in line would be, I don't know, maybe Sulu.
Yeah, maybe.
And at least right now in the show, like he's seen as maybe being quite low to you know
Yeah,
take command.
he's permanent bridge crew, but he's not command crew.
That is not always the case, though. I do recall from one of the movies he at least starts a movie with his own command or something like that, if I could recall correctly.
That's fair. I mean, right now though, is the point.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously the movie's another 20 years away, so he's
Yeah.
plenty of experience before he gets
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
So he takes command, and he's so determined to get to this starbase that he wants to take the most direct route, a shortcut essentially. But that puts them through the Romulan neutral zone, which bad idea. And in fact, it's even mentioned that this planet that we're on was near the neutral zone, and Kirk even suspects at one point, is this some sort of Romulan weapon? Is that what's
Yeah.
happening here? It turned out it was radiation from like a something
Comet.
comet passing past the planet. It wasn't anything insidious or anything like that. But
It was nice that they like thought about it though.
yeah, I like it because it was bringing back in like one of these races that we'd brought up before. The whole idea of the neutral zone, the idea that this conflict is kind of ever present. Like they kind of it was bringing back some of that stuff, and. But no, when I say it's going to entertaining, it's like, I know what's going to happen. That this guy is failing on the bridge. He's basically doomed the entire ship and crew. And I know that Kirk is going to walk through that door healthy. Like, I know
Yeah.
that's where this is going. And, you see him, like, he's like, oh, this shot, you're like, it might not work, it might kill you. He's like, well, I'm going to die anyway in like 5 minutes because I'm aging so fast. Just
Yeah,
give me it.
that was one thing that really threw me. What is their life expectancy in the future? Because McCoy says, "Oh, we're aging 30 years for every day," and Spock goes, "Oh, all right, well, we've got about a week." I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, something was off with that. I don't know if he was maybe calculating for his life expectancy because he's Vulcan.
Maybe it sounded like he was talking about the group as a whole, though.
Which is weird because even like 30 years a day, like even if you live to be 90, that's 3 days from your birth.
Yeah,
let's say it's the future, so 120 is more common. Say
sure.
that's 4 days from birth,
Yeah,
not a week.
knock off at least a day each for where they are now, at least.
Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't quite add up. Unless it's like it's not. It doesn't act like actual aging. Maybe it's like you physically get to that point, but you're
Maybe.
it's not actually going in sort of. It's like a dog years thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'm
It just threw me off. I was like, what's life expectancy in the future?
Yeah, but so it's all going down. Times are bad. They're all preparing to die, and then the door opens and Kirk walks out and starts giving commands. And it's a great moment. It's a great big moment where you get this rush of adrenaline because it's like to bring back adrenaline into the next bit. That's for the
it's very
viewers.
good.
But he comes in and everyone like suddenly feels confident again. Like Sulu, who's been feeling awkward because multiple times in this episode he's like, "Oh, do this," and Sulu's like, "You mean again?" And he's like, give me my don't question my commands." That's actually one of the things that I really noticed in this one is that Kirk, because he's making mistakes, is getting very cranky, very
Yes, he's very agitated, isn't he?
he's very agitated.
Yeah. I like his plan as well. He goes, "All right, well, send a message on code 2." It's like, but
Yeah.
code 2, they cracked that. That was one of the big things that damned him.
Well, this is what I love about this. He beats this encounter. These 3 Romulan ships. He beats it with the carbonite maneuver.
I know. I loved it. I was like, this is a great callback.
Yeah, because it's funny because he's like, no, code 2. He's like, but sir, no, trust me, here, that's an order, code 2. Yes, and if he's like, oh, so Starfleet Command, I'm sending you this. We're under attack, sure death. So we're going to enact the carbonite that we've just installed recently. And I'm like, carbonite? What's he doing? Oh, he's bluffing them.
Yeah,
Oh, this is the exact same thing he did before.
it
But
is.
uh, as much as it's a very not procedural, but very standalone episodes. Like there's some great callbacks like this, where they've really taken
Yeah,
things
it
into
was one
history.
thing just to have the Romulans again, because obviously we haven't
Yeah,
really seen them much. But then this was like, oh no, this was a specific thing that they did an episode on. And it's like,
yeah.
and that's procedure. That's his plan.
This was a tactic, yeah. He was using something that we'd seen him use before, which actually makes the whole thing, as silly as Star Trek can be at times, it makes the whole thing feel more realistic, because it feels like, no, it's not just that he's got a random new plan for every single encounter.
No, this is a procedure.
Yeah, sometimes he'll go back to the same ones because that'll work.
Yeah.
Maybe he should go back to the same ones more often to make it even more realistic, but still, whatever. Like, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you got to do different enough for it. It's a
Yeah.
TV show. Fine.
But that's the thing, the conflict wasn't the main part of the episode. Like, the whole idea is that he would come in and solve it within 2 minutes. That was kind of the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's that good. So, no, that was, I smiled so much when I realised he was using the carbonite maneuver again.
Yeah,
That
it
was a
nice.
crowd-pleasing moment for me.
Yeah. I had one criticism I have was in the middle. It was doing a captain's log narration, and he says all this. I can't remember exactly what he says, but I think he's just talking about, oh, we're all aging, blah blah blah, except Chekhov. And then it cuts, and then it goes into the med bay, and McCoy goes, and then you just have McCoy tell us the exact same information, going, oh, we're all aging, this is happening, except Chekhov. And it's like, why did we need this twice?
Yeah, just redundant. I get you.
Yeah, it really. Like, I don't often complain about like those sort of captain's log narrations. Usually they're all right because they give something that we're not getting in the scene.
Either something we're not getting, or at least in the context of when it was airing with ads, it was like just updating.
So like a
Yeah.
recap almost.
Yeah, for when you came back from the ad break, yeah.
But here, because they said it twice, like next to each other, it was just like, well,
That's
we
fair.
didn't need both.
It didn't bother me, but yeah, I can see what objectively, yeah, it's a critique, it's a fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to some of the awkward stuff, because obviously this hearing to test if Kirk is capable of maintaining command is called. And Spock feels very uncomfortable about it. He doesn't want to do it. But the Commodores know this is regulation, you have to do this. And, Kirk kind of like makes him feel bad for it. He's like, oh, you stab me in the back, Spock, first chance you get to try and get command. But again, we're in this hearing and we're interviewing each of the crew members, and they're bringing up these examples and they're being honest about them. But then Kirk tries to give a speech in his defence, and he gets up and he's walking around very slowly, got a bit of a limp, old man walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he makes a mistake. He says they're in the wrong sector.
Yeah. He calls it whatever the planet is something 2 instead of something 4.
Yeah. And they correct him, and he's like, wow, slip of the tongue. And he's trying to cover for himself, but everyone's just feeling so awkward, like he is not fit to do this. And then he sits down and he makes the same mistake again. He calls it number 2 again.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of almost face palming, and they know what
Because
they're
none
going to do.
of none of them want to do it. When they're getting the people to testify, you have the yeoman who's like, I mean, just forgot it was harmless. It's and none of them want to, but then it's like, yeah, okay.
Of course,
Maybe we have to.
she wasn't wearing red, but there was essentially a red shirt doctor lady with them who is just there so that she can get old and old and old and die, to show what will happen to the rest of them.
Yeah, because the people they picked up on the planet dying wasn't enough. They had to have one die alongside them.
Just so we can see her be freaked out at our reflection and be like, that's a horrible place for a mirror. Well, where do you want it?
Yeah, the plot with her, I really didn't like at all. I don't get it. There was the whole thing, her having a past with Kirk, and then
Oh, not her. That's not the same character.
Oh, no, the other one. Yeah.
Jan.
The
You're
other
talking
one.
about Jan.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the part I didn't like, where and she was like, "Oh, I've got this," and then it was like, okay, so I've got a husband who's older, and then she's into Kirk when he's a bit older.
He's dead now, the husband.
Yeah, but he was older was the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, and now Kirk's older. It's like, okay. And it kind of got this weird thing that never really went anywhere.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was trying to do. That particular plot point. I think if anything, it was meant to just be a little joke that she's getting flirtatious with him because he looks a bit older. I think her inclusion at all though was kind of this added sense of shame or whatever, or embarrassment that he's getting older, and he's failing in front of her as well. It's like not only is he failing in front of his crew, he's failing in front of a love interest. Because when he first sees her, he kind of, and they have that meeting and everyone else leaves the room, and he just kind of turns around and he has this smirk on his face like, oh, I'm going to go flirt with you. I was like, really, Jim, is this the time for this? Is this the time to be flirting?
I don't know. I just feel like her inclusion in the episode as a whole was kind of redundant.
That's fair. I'm trying to think through what their reasoning was for including her.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in agreement that she's kind of the second weakest part. The weakest part being the woman who does get older that was on the planet with them.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of redundant and I don't really need it. But honestly though, this episode mostly comes out on top. Like, I feel like I actually like all of the awkwardness of everyone feeling like he can't command anymore, and then the actual moment where he comes back and solves the conflict in a really fun callback way to another episode. All of that stuff I was really into.
No, it's true. I do like all that stuff. It's just things like this side plot that that kind of drags it down for me. Like, I'm going, why is this here? What's this serving? It doesn't seem to be doing anything. But the core focus is pretty good.
Hey, got to hit 50 minutes in 1960.
That's kind of what some of it feels like.
68 TV time slots. So I feel like you cut all that out, you get down to a nice modern day 41-minute episode.
And I think it would be improved for it.
Probably be very tight, but hey ho. So a couple flaws, but mostly I actually think the character beats in at work. So
I think it's amusing. You said at the start how you watched the opening and you thought, right, this could either be really bad or really good, and you thought there'll be no middle ground. I think because you were expecting the comedy angle.
Yeah.
I think in the angle that it did take, there was room for a middle ground. I mean, it actually mostly succeeded. But I think there was room for it.
Funnily enough, because I thought it was either going to be really funny and therefore a blast because it was going to be them making fun of each other being old.
Or just a dud because it'd be like, ugh, why are we doing this?
Yeah, this is stupid. Yeah, I was expecting those two things, and it did something completely unlike either of those things, and it actually took a serious take on it, and it actually, for the most part, worked. And the funny thing is the stuff in the episode that didn't work wasn't anything to do with because of the main plot. It was just because there was these extra things added onto it that weren't that great. Definitely. So I'll give them credit. They impressed me given my initial expectation based on the opening scene. So
yeah,
I can't fault them too much. That is the Deadly Years, a surprisingly pretty good episode. So it's good. It's good to have especially since the last one we did wasn't that hot.
The fact that I can't really remember it says it all.
It took me a second.
It was only 2 weeks ago, and I don't really remember it.
Friday's Child was the last one.
Ugh, yeah.
That was a rough one. Yeah. So we actually do genuinely seem to be in a pattern of good, bad, good, bad, good, bad.
For the most part, yeah.
But in that pattern for most of this season now, it seems like. But
there's only the odd one where it breaks that pattern.
So yeah, hopefully next week's the case. Lucky 13.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through this season then, aren't we?
Yeah, there's 26 episodes, so next week's the last of the first half, I guess. There's no middle episode because it's even numbered, but...
Yeah.
That is Star Trek, Season 2, Episode 12. Let us know what you think of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter, mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. Of course, if you do that, the $1 tier, you get these a week early. Yeah, this is something. Also, remember, we're covering Star Trek Discovery as it's been airing week to week. We're almost at the mid-season break for that, but Episode 7, which is the last one we did at the time of recording, was pretty good.
It was a blast, yeah.
It was the best episode it's had yet, and it felt the most like a Star Trek episode, so, but yeah, there you go. So thank you very much once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys, and we will see you next time.